I'm going to start with that. Come all, welcome to the latest episode of Sun City Letterheads podcast, coming to you from El Paso, Texas, and gonna be diverse in Arizona soon with Danny Ramirez move. And Danny, how are we doing today?
What's up, Jay? I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. I had a long weekend. How was your Memorial Day weekend? I mean, it seemed like so fast at the same time.
Mine was pretty fast as well, but I spent it mostly sick, which sucked. But it was a very productive weekend, right? So I took a trip to Phoenix, saw a couple of my family members, tried to find a house, which we did. So all is good and very productive, and other than being sick, had a really good Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, same thing. I saw a lot of family, right? But unfortunately, with that being said, we had to put Uncle G services together, and he's finally, what had his services. So it was sad but beautiful, and it was good to see a lot of family, and it was it was a pretty intense Saturday for sure. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about some OTAs, some breaking news, and just try to like it's hard right now, right, to figure out what to specifically talk about because there's so much like dullness in the off season. I'm sure we'll think of more stuff next week, but this week I say we should talk maybe about some OTA, like people missing from OTAs. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't, but it's still significant because those people are doing it for reasons, right? So,
Yeah.
I before we get to that though, in fairness to Rasheed Rice, we kind of like jumped on him with his news. When all that stuff happened. But let's talk about that. The last 2 weeks, two kickers, field kickers out of everybody in the NFL. Who would have thought two kickers would have been on the headlines, right? So, Buck from the Kansas City Chiefs, his first name's Darius, I think. Uh,
Harrison Bucker.
yeah. Harrison Bucker. Okay. Yeah. Kicker from the Kansas City Chiefs, basically kind of like he showed his beliefs in things of like kind of being old minded without gaining any maybe promise to like changing for the his opinion, but kind of just made a sexist type remark towards a lot of people were frustrated, upset, up in arms, angry, basically just saying that women kind of just belong in the stove area, clean the house, just basically not having longevity careers or successful careers or whatever. Um, I it's I'll never deny a woman, like success in any business or anything like that. It just depends on like how the individual to me, I guess, is portraying it. Like, where I mean, I knew an actress a few years back. Hopefully, she kind of went away from what kind of irked me with her. She's like, "Hey, I'm an actress, and I want to do this and that." Like I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like she's attractive. She's got potential. I'm writing scripts or whatever. So like maybe in the future she can her and I can work together, and even if it's any not my projects or anybody else's. But then after she like we met on social media, and she's actually from El Paso too. After we talked about like her goals of like wanting to be an actress and stuff, she like a few minutes later, after the conversation was kind of like dying, um she just automatically texted like, "Hey, do you want to see my content?" And I was just like, "Well, hold on, time out. Like, what? We're talking about acting, film, art. I mean, granted, a lot of people see that as art, which I mean, to each his own. I would never pay for content, like the OnlyFans type stuff. But I was just kind of like, you could have just, to me, I would have had more appreciation and respect if she would have just came out with that first. Like, hey, I got some content. If you're down, but I am gonna try to move to acting first or later on or whatever. But like for her to like just talk about like she's gonna be the next, Emma Stone, whatever, and then she's like, hey, by the way, check this, and I'm like, it's kind of like threw me for a loop, like just if she's successful with both, I know I'll never discredit her, but it's just one of those things that like men and women are in a weird time right now, right? Like if you weren't already in a good solidified relationship right now, it is super hard right now because of one, Twitch, OnlyFans, social media. There's so many things going on. And then of course Buckner voiced his opinion basically like where he just kind of like shelved women, like, hey, just like put them in the back burner, make them clean, cook, just be normal housewives. And depending on how his wife sees his comments, right? Like either his marriage is going to be tested soon, or maybe she feels the same way as him. Like like I am the housewife and the house mom, and but like I said, I'll never defer or deteriorate any woman's success, especially if she does it and goes about it like a natural way without putting anyone down. Because like lately, I think there are people like Buckner and other guys that are like already successful and can put out their names out there and say random stuff like that. Is they're agitated because a lot of women now are like, oh, I don't need a man, I'm better than him, blah blah blah. It's just like first you want an equality, but now you're trying to go above the equality, right? So it's just like, why don't we just stay equal and just let's both move forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really agree. I don't really agree with his comments because it's just one of those things where if it's cool with you and your wife and you and your family household and then maybe your family outside and stuff like that, then yeah, that's between you all, right? Like that's your belief. But like just say that a woman can't have success in a career or something, I mean that's blasphemous, you know what I mean? I mean as far as we came as humanity, especially men and women, like that's just never gonna there's never gonna be a turnaround where that goes backtrack, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't really like comments just because like why say it?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be on a big stage too, right? So why, even if you believe that truly, why would you go and talk about that at a commencement speech of all places where there's males and there's females graduating from that university wherever he was. I just thought it was a bad look, not only for him but for the NFL. As you know, you've seen these last couple of years, the NFL has been trying to be equal in terms of hiring women to be coaches, to be referees, to be, just involved in the NFL as it
Right.
is, and to for him to make those comments and for Roger Goodell to agree or not really agree but really defend him just kind of takes a few steps back in my opinion, and it's a bad look for the NFL.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre, honestly. Like that was your big statement. You know what I mean? Like you could have said like something so much more motivational and inspirational, but you just
Yeah.
kind of like you basically gave fuel to the fire to those women who are trying to debunk men, right? So like you just kind of like added fuel to the fire, and you should have just kind of like kept it close to the chest with your family and friends. But yeah, I didn't like his move at all. And then obviously the next one we're going to talk about was definitely not a smart move either. McManus, Brandon McManus, right? Or Brian? What?
Hmm.
It's a B, I
Brandon.
think.
Yeah.
Brandon McManus from the Jacksonville Jaguars apparently is going to is apparently getting sued by two women for sexual assault, and it's ironic, Danny, that I told you last week that the Jaguars are it's unfair advantage because they don't get as many home games as any other NFL team because they travel too damn much, right, to London and all that.
Yep.
So I'm like, now should they really just keep, like maybe once a year or something? Because, like, granted, he might be the only one, but it goes back to like Brittany Griner and so many other stars and athletes and actors, whatever, like, musicians that think, like, well, I'm in a different country. Maybe they won't recognize me. Maybe I can get away with it. And then, but I'm like, you're on the flight over there, apparently. Like, you're like, so that means they were in the plane as a staff members, right? So it's just like, what? And then if that's the case, then the entire Jaguars organization is in that plane. So and they're gonna get sued too. So it is a weird thing for Jacksonville right now. The NFL, of course, McManus is who knows what's gonna happen with him. Um, it just that's definitely a bad look for him for sure, and it just proves that like when you get big headed or empowerment that you think like, hey man, like, well, we're overseas and we'll kind of come back. Well, things happen. I mean, look at Brittany Griner. Like and what's cool, she owned up to everything. She said it's 100% her fault. Like, that's what I wanted when she had that interview. I saw some of it on, I don't know what those news channels, but of course she broke down but she owned up to it. It was 100% my fault, right? Because like she knew she was not supposed to have it. And then of course like this guy Randy McManus, obviously, I mean, when a male, female, whatever is kind of not feeling what you're doing, right? You could tell by their antics, their gestures, their like avoidance, and then for you to like keep pursuing. I mean, I'm sure everyone in their lifetime has kind of like hurt someone's feelings in a manner of a sexual manner, at least once, right? Like it just even if it's the slightest thing, but for you to like impose on two women and thinking that like you're untouchable and then you keep doing it, that is so obscured. So it is definitely horrifying for the Jaguars, for him, for those ladies. Obviously, hopefully they come out okay, because some might fall pretty bad. um and then the NFL, obviously they're gonna have to really check this into it. And like I said, they don't have a lot of home games ready, and apparently they went. That was when they went twice, right? So like
Yep.
maybe it's not good that you keep flying over there, because who knows if more light to the fire comes, right? Because like, what if another players comes out and someone says like, oh well, this person did this and they said it was okay because they're this person, and then like, I mean, off topic of sports, but like, I mean, look at P Diddy. He's flown out the country because of all the things that's come out on him. So like, it's been crazy, and so now Brandon McManus is a part of that tree, right? So it's just kind of like, what do you do? And yeah, it's bad luck for sure.
Yeah, I didn't really read into that one too much, but again, it goes back to putting himself in a position, right? Why would you put yourself in a position where potentially you can be sued for sexual harassment, and then as it is, it's a distraction on the team as well, right? As we both know, right? They have to go to London again for another 2 times this year. So how is that going to look on the team? How are things going to change for the travel arrangements, right? Is there going to be people supervising every move that they do? So it just puts the team in a very uncomfortable position, all because this guy wanted to be, you know, selfish and act upon his desires or whatever. But again, it kind of goes with this kind of situations. You just never know, right? It could be two people trying just to recoup money, right? Their opportunity to
Right.
take advantage of the situation, or it could be true.
And that's what's scary about like fame, right? Like what if that person's actually innocent? Because there's so many people who are not even famous that go and serve like 20 years in prison only to find out that later on the proof shows that they're innocent. And I'm like, you literally just took their life away for 20 years, and then you're like, oh my bad, go live like normal again. Like there's no way. Like you
Yeah.
ruined them for pretty much life. So yeah, it's a scary thing. Like when you're in the spotlight and you got some fame to you, like you got to make sure that you should have witnesses, right? Like just like, hey, just so you know, like Danny, you're with me. So if she says this and that, like, it's like, no, it's not true. Because you gotta make sure that you keep yourself safe, right? It starts with yourself technically, because if you get big headed, you might go too far, even though you're not thinking you're going too far. And then that being said, you may not even be doing anything, and then you still get accused, right? So it's pretty crazy. Like I've seen some stories where girls got mad because guys turned them down, and then they just created a report on
Make
them
up a
just because they
story.
were mad, so that, yeah, so it's kind of scary. But obviously the NFL's involved, and they have to do an investigation. So clearly, so far, it's 100% true in the mindset of the investigation, right? So, shame on him for getting himself to be put in this situation. Like you're innocent till proven guilty, right? So, but like it's just shameful for him to like you got put in this position because you did it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. But so from the news, I think that's the two biggest news as of late. I think so Nico Collins, I think today reached an agreement with the Houston Texans. That's news.
Yep.
So I
Three
think it's a
years.
3-year extension, like yeah, 3 years, 72 million, something like that. Good for him, and he deserves it. And now he's got, oh
Hmm.
my god, he's got Stephon Diggs, and then Tank Dell coming back for his second year with Stroud. Man, that Texas team is gonna be so fun to watch.
Yeah, it was well deserved. That guy broke out. Even when he was by himself 2 years ago, he showed up as
Yes,
well. So now with
yeah, with
him having a
no
supporting
really
cast,
good quarterback.
yeah, exactly. Now he has a supporting cast around him. Now he has CJ Stroud in year two. That his production is just going to keep going up and his value is going to keep going up. So honestly think they got him in a steal with for $72 million for 3 years. I think that's a really good value for him.
Woo! Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, Dallas scares me, so at least I can have the Texans to kind of like, woo, go Texas. um, but yeah, so let's get to the OTAs and the fun missing people, MIA practice, Danny. We're talking about practice, not a game, not a game. Practice,
Practice.
practice,
Yeah.
practice.
Practice.
Not a game. Practice, practice. Oh man. So yeah, I sent you a list of like superstars that were MIA, I guess, to start the OTAs. Um, could you bring that up on this thing, or no? Is it just the?
Let me look for
Is it
it.
just our?
Let me look for it. But in the meantime, I think it's really good to preface, right, that when it comes to OTAs, right, these are voluntary workouts, right? So it's not like people are expected to attend or they're forced to attend, right? They're not going to be fined if they don't. So I think a lot of players take this time to one, take advantage of time with their families, right, in the off season. They train elsewhere, they train off site, or maybe they're just doing different things. Maybe some people are having babies, maybe some people have vacation plans. So we just don't truly know what's going on in their lives. But when we're talking about NFL
Right.
OTAs, I think what we're trying to really bring to light here is the key names that are missing and what it means, right? So, for example, we take like let's say a Brandon Ayuk or a T Higgins, who we know and we've been talking about them the last couple weeks, where we know they're very dissatisfied with their current contract and they want more money. So in this kind of situations, right, those players perhaps they do want something more, right? Maybe they will sit out when it does come time for those not non-voluntary
Training
workouts,
camp.
right? Where exactly training camp, mini camp. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I was trying to look at the website you sent me, and I'm gonna have to search for it. So you're gonna have to give me 1 second for me to pull it up here. But I'll turn it over
It's
to
all.
you so you can give
I
me
was
your
gonna
thoughts.
mention. So yeah, I was gonna mention like going back to uh, Duck Prescott. We're talking about how he said that he doesn't play for the money, right? Like it's all about the game for him, and he would give all the money just to play the game. And I'm like, you're the same guy who didn't accept 40 million per year last time because you're 40 million came to my family, and technically you're in a contract situation right now too. But the reason why you didn't take a pay cut, or the reason why CeeDee Lamb and Michael Parsons aren't signed already long, is because you didn't take a pay cut. So don't tell me that it's about the team and you're not about the money, because you would have helped Dallas signed Micah and CeeDee Lamb already, which, mind you, Danny, those two are missing from the OTAs.
Yep.
So Cameron Hayward, that's a big one because we're talking about how great this defense could be for Pittsburgh, especially adding Patrick Queen. But Cameron Hayward's a monster in the middle, right? So it's pretty interesting. Like you said, it's voluntary. You don't have to go, whatever. But obviously, he just saw Patrick Queen come to Pittsburgh. Like it wasn't like an extension. He just gave Patrick Queen money. So Cameron Hayward's like, hey man, like what about in house? Like what about me? Like hook me up a little bit. And he's, I mean, deserved. He's one of the best defensive tackles since he's been drafted, right? So, um, it'll be interesting to see if he shows up to mini camp, training camp. Uh, he's older. He's 35, but he
Yeah.
still produces, right? So, well,
Yeah, he's still an anchor on that
go ahead.
defense. He's still an anchor in that defensive line. And when it comes to him, I'm not too worried about Cam Hayward. I think he understands his role. He knows what he needs to be doing, right? So he has all of those years of experience to really help guide him in his progression. And we know, right? Maybe he's towards the end of his career now. But
Right.
also when we're talking about the Steelers, right? They know how to play defense. They're a defensive minded team. And so I don't think Mike Tomlin really has any concern or worry about him not being there. So this is a kind of player where I don't have a problem with them missing OTAs. I think with Cam Hayward, he's a veteran. He knows what to do. He knows how to prepare for the season, and he knows how to, be a great defensive tackle for the Steelers. So I don't mind him so much. I don't know if you're in agreement with me or not.
I mean, yeah, he's one of the people that can miss that won't change the outcome of this team, right? I think CeeDee Lamb and Micah is a big thing because what happens when Four struggles and then you guys get frustrated again. So like those two pieces need to help these young guys like understand like, hey man, like we need to strap it down. But Pittsburgh, who's already had a solidified defense, I mean, for like 15 years at this point, right? So Cam Hayward, a great name. The number two person that's about to come up on this list, that one worries me just because his youth and they're restarting all over. So Justin Jefferson not showing up and helping his two new quarterbacks, right? So like you gotta get, I mean, it's voluntary, but your OTAs is where you kind of get the trust, the feel, the continuity, the spunk of like who's my brother, right? So like if it was Sam Darnold or if it was JJ McCarthy, then Justin would kind of get a feel of like either one, right? But them, I mean, they're starting from scratch. They got a new running back, two new quarterbacks. I mean, this is a complete overhaul, and the only main vessel that is a solidified stud, you lost Danielle Hunter on the defense. Like, I mean, the only stud on offense that I know is Justin Jefferson because Adam Thielen's gone. Like, there's so many pieces that made them relevant, and even the division and the playoffs with Kirk Cousins, they're all gone. So him missing to me is a little more worrisome, definitely, than Cam Hayward, just because this team is going to be dictated by this one individual on how many touchdowns he can catch. Like, let's say a Calvin Johnson or and what is it, Andre Johnson for the Texans when Lions and the Texans were irrelevant, right, and were terrible. Those two receivers kept them in games, kept them. But they had a Matthew Stafford at times. They had a Matt Schaub that kind of can hold the weight a little bit. But they had OTAs with them. They got to grow with them and get in trust with them. And Justin Jefferson not being there, and I mean, to some people, he's the best receiver in the NFL. So to me, it's a bit more worrisome for sure.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think when we're talking about Justin Jefferson coming into the situation, like you mentioned, where he has two new quarterbacks throwing him the football. I think, yeah, there's cause for concern. And then you also add the fact that he was very, I guess, pretty transparent with everyone in terms of re-signing a new contract. Right? He's not sure if he wants to commit to Minnesota when they don't have the consistency at the quarterback position, or they don't have the consistency on the offensive side of the ball. Period. Right? So um, I think this one does make me a little nervous just because of that. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know if, maybe he foreshadows his career there and says, you know what, who's going to be the quarterback throwing me that football? And do I really trust to have the success that I've been having with the Kirk Cousins if I commit to a 4 or 5 year new deal, right? So yeah, this one I'm in a total agreement with you. I think this one is very concerning for me just because of that.
Oh, so just I just kind of had an epiphany, maybe, and I pray it doesn't come true. But you just said like he's wants a contract, but he doesn't know if he wants a Minnesota contract, right? And who's a team that's not shy right now that probably will have some more cap space in 2025 and have a young quarterback that just drafted and the number 2 pick. Can you imagine Justin Jefferson signing with the Washington Commanders to hang Jaden Daniels in the Dan Quinn era next year in 2025?
That'd be crazy. That'd be a splash for sure.
Right, and right now it makes sense because of all the splash they already have, and they still have cap space. Like, and you have a young Jaden Daniels year 2. Like, I mean that could definitely draw a Justin Jefferson to your team, right?
Yeah, I could see that happening, but I don't know, man. I just picture him in purple and gold. I can't picture him anywhere else, but who knows, right? I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah,
Um,
it makes it's crazy when a superstar like that, especially when they're so young, just kind of like either gets shred or bolt, right? So it's like, oh damn, that's crazy. I never thought he would be there.
that would be tough for Minnesota Vikings fans, right? They had to deal with it with Randy Moss, and now
Whew.
perhaps they have to do it again with the best wide receiver in the league and Justin Jefferson
And Adrian Peterson.
and Adrian Peterson. That's a good point. Yep.
Phew, yeah, they've had some heartbreaks for sure, and they've never won a Super Bowl. I feel for them, like for sure. But yeah, man, that'd be crazy. Like, there's man, like okay, so you look at life, right? Like, if you and I went back 4 years and told Russell Wilson that he'd be on 3 different teams in 3 years, what do you think he would say?
You're crazy, man. I'm a superstar.
Exactly, exactly. So like, who knows what's gonna happen with Justin Jefferson? And then so much going forward. Number 3, who's the number 3rd?
T. Higgins.
Oh, we hit. Yeah, we already talked about him. Yeah, he hasn't, and he said I mean, he signed. What's it called? The franchise tag, but he's still not happy. I mean, signing's one thing, but going mini camp and then Burrow's injured, and Jamar Chase I don't think has shown up either. But this one's significant, just the contract situation. And then Tyler Boyd goes to Tennessee, I think, or where did he go?
Yeah, Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. So remember I told you last week, like it's gonna be rough for Cincinnati to keep pieces together, especially a Burrow that keeps getting injured. So it's gonna be going forward. This year is gonna be a massive telltale sign of where Cincinnati is gonna go from 2025, maybe like 2027.
I don't know, man, but Joe Burrow has like some great looking hair. He looks like Anakin Skywalker. Have you seen him recently?
This guy, man. Yeah, he's like a model. Like, you know what? He's one of those, and it's weird. Like Joe Nate, Joe Burrow, like all the Joes, Joe Montana, all the Joes for some reason have it in the NFL. Like they can have the girl, they can have, or all the girls, they can have the swag. They have, him smoking a cigar. Like, like he's just cool. Like
Yeah.
dude. I'm afraid that I just hope he doesn't turn into Mr. Glass, you know?
Yeah, right now it's trending in that direction, but who knows how that plays out with his health and his success going forward. I I love it when the Bengals are healthy and they have everybody around them. I think they're very solid, a solid team. They can compete with anyone in the NFL. Um, what I don't
Yes.
understand, and you brought up this point last week where we talked about them not having enough money to hold on to their best players, right? So that's the thing that just blows my mind because if you look at them compared to, let's say, the Chiefs, or let's say, who else is another team that I'm trying to blank on? Um, God, I always have them at the tip of my tongue. Anyways, like the Chiefs, for example, they have the best quarterback in the league. They know they have to pay him. They know they can't afford to pay everyone, right? Which is probably the reason why they let go of Tyreek Hill. But when it comes to the season starting, or for example during midseason where they know they're weak at a certain position, right? The Chiefs always seem to be the team that will go out and find the free agent or go out make a trade that will allow them to at least be serviceable at that position, or productive. And it seems like with
Right.
the Bengals, they don't have that luxury, and I don't know what it is. I mean, you have Joe Burrow who's gonna get paid, or who has gotten paid. I don't know if he got a new contract yet. You have Jamar Chase, who's wanting a newer contract, and then you have T. Higgins, right? You got rid of Joe Mixon, who was getting some good money. You go and splurge at the offensive line position to protect Joe Burrow. So it's kind of like you're spending money to protect Joe Burrow, but he's not there to be taking you to where you need to be going, right? The
To be
playoffs.
protected. Yeah.
So it sucks to see like somebody as good as T. Higgins not be able to stay with this team, the team that drafted him. And I think if he ends up walking or ends up getting traded to somewhere else, that's just going to show every other player within that team that, hey, right now you're rented. When your contract comes, we'll talk, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to be with us. And I think that's a bad
And
message to send.
yeah, and that's why I was saying that I see them fourth at this point, just because like I just don't trust how it's going about, right? So we'll see. I mean, hopefully for the like you said, like Cincinnati's so fun to watch when all these dudes are healthy. Like man, like I love them in their all white jerseys, like the white helmet. Like oh man, it's so
Yeah.
dope. But yeah, it's scary to see since like you know what they're doing is the Tennessee Titans of the last 4 or 5 years ago. They're doing what the Detroit Lions. There's so many teams that draft great and then they just trade or get rid of the stars and not build around them. And it looks we'll see if Cincinnati goes that out too. Like Jacksonville did that a few years ago in the AFC Championship game. Like they blew up that team, even though that team was so good together. Like I have no idea why you blew it up. But yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I think that T. Higgins is going to be a player that's not going to be with the Bengals. That's just my gut feeling. I think he ends up being traded. You in
Where do
agreement?
you see him?
Oh, that's a good question. I could see him ending up with the Raiders. I can see him ending up with. It just really depends because he's not at a point in his career where he can say, you know what, I've won so much that I can go play with the Chiefs and take less money. Like in his case, he's trying to maximize everything that he can get, right, based off of his production the
Right,
last couple of years. So I think he ends up going to a team, maybe Washington even, right? You talked about Washington earlier, about them becoming
right.
an up and coming team. He's going to go to a team like that is looking for a wide receiver one or wide receiver two, who maybe, they don't have the luxury of drafting somebody that skillful, in the round because they maybe pick mid tier or whatever. So I think this is just a
What
perfect opportunity
if
for those. Go for it.
okay, yeah, I agree that you're saying that it's perfect for them and Washington, right? But look, we're talking about Washington for me was 2025, but this year you said if he gets traded, right? What if, what if the Giants are 2-3, 3-3, 3-4, just like man, we're one player away. one player away to spark this freaking offense to like take new heights. Brian Dable, Daniel Jones were both on the hot seat. The GM's on the hot seat. Why would you not try to trade for a T. Higgins to go with Malik Neighbors?
That would be good. And then you don't have that size at that position. So he makes
Right.
perfect sense
And
there.
then you put Slayton in the slot. Like, oh my God. They would be off to the races if they can just get continuity.
Yeah.
Gabe said Chargers. Woo! Oh, if he
That's
goes
a
to the
good one.
Chargers, my man, Joe, my boy Herbert would be clapping his hands and we'd be going. I'd be going crazy. That's my boy.
That would be a good
Yeah,
one.
the
I didn't
Chargers.
even think about
That's a. I thought about it for a second when we started talking like me, just like the angst of it. I was man, the Giants would be fools to trade for him. Would I like it? Probably not. But does it realistically sound good? It does.
You know what the other team was that I was thinking of when I was talking about, them not being able to, or them being able to continue to spend that players. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles were the team that I was thinking of. I didn't come to mind, but they just seem to always have money, right? They have money to spend at whoever's available.
What? And it makes no sense. Everyone has the same damn cap, and like it's like the Eagles are just like, yeah, we still have 40 million. It's just like, what is Jerry Jones? What is all these damn teams doing with their contracts? Where the Eagles are like, man, hey, we can go get T Higgins. Cool, we got 30. Like, it makes no sense.
None at all. And then if
And
you
then,
think about it, like the Dodgers, look at what they did. The Dodgers are,
well, they have no
I know
cap
it's a
though.
different sport. Yeah, I know they have no cap, but they're smart because that's what they do is they kind of get a player on credit, right? And then they kind of just worry about that 10 years from now. In the NFL, I don't know how they get around that. I don't know how they're able to pay, AJ Brown. I don't know how they're able to pay Devontae Smith. I don't know how they're able to pay Hurts and then Barkley in the offseason. It's kind of like, where the hell is all this money coming from?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
They whoever's behind the wall, the person that's helping the GM, like the money person. If I was a new team, right? Like let's say I'm the manager for the team next year. What I'm doing is I'm picking the assistant money cap specialist that the Philadelphia Eagles has as my general manager. Because
they
I'm like,
figured it
bro,
out, huh?
yeah, I'm like, bro, because I watched Draft Day so damn much, and of course, in the movie, like they try to make it, for people to watch it. So that's girlfriend, right? So it like she's like she knows the money, like, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we do this, and it's like, remember, well, the Boston Red Sox, they became famous again because they got the guy from the Oakland A's. They pretty much bought him out. And then what did the Chicago Cubs do when their World Series? Like, hey, man, to get the same guy to help us figure this out. And like, it's all about genius. It's all about genius timing about who you get in your clutch an office, right? So like Moneyball, he's like, hey, we don't have to get the most expensive in order to make a relevant team. It's like, and then that's what the Eagles do. Like they get pieces, like their tier B pieces, apparently are not as expensive as everybody else's tier B pieces.
Yeah. And Gabe was asking if Jalen Hurts got paid. Yeah, he got paid 5 years, $255 million. So again, that's a big lump sum. And then they just recently did AJ Brown on draft day, and then Devontae Smith I think is next. So it's like a lot of players that are coming due for paydays,
And they got
and they seem to.
homeboy from New York, so like,
And Barkley, yeah, Barkley wasn't cheap. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so I that's if I'm a yeah, I'm like signing that guy real quick.
He figured it
Gabe,
all
thanks
out.
for watching, Gabe. Appreciate you. Ooh, Tua. You know why Tua's up there?
He is
Got
there
another
now,
concussion.
no? He's concussed. I thought he was there. I don't know why. I didn't know he was not
Well,
there.
this post was like 8-9 days ago or something, so maybe he's there now. But yeah, he for him holding out, I'm like, dude, we just, you know what? I don't really gripe that he wasn't there just because like he's Mr. Gold for Miami. So like they will be nothing if he gets hurt again. Like there's just no ins and outs, but like his accuracy is prime. And I when Tyreek Hill people go crazy when he Tua has better accuracy than Mahomes. If he stays, if they both stay in the pocket without scrambling and being pressured, is absolutely more accurate than Patrick. But when it's the scramble drill and all that stuff that Patrick does to make everything so beautiful, is why he looks so much better. But it's I'm not big griping on that just because I don't want him to. I want Miami to be relevant because it's been so long for Miami to be relevant, right? So I want them, and then according to you, flip of a coin, they're going to win the division. Like last week, you said the Jets and them, so one of them got to win. So we're going to flip the coin. Um,
I was on Benadryl. I was drugged up. All right, that's
whew.
my. I'm sticking to it.
But yeah, it's I'm okay with him keeping for low just because like I just don't want him to get hurt because like if he gets hurt, then who are they going to go get?
Yeah, I mean, I have an issue with him missing OTAs because I don't think quarterbacks should be the ones missing OTAs. I think it's important, right? And maybe they have the same key pieces at the wide receiver position, at the tight end position. I don't know. I don't remember who they picked up right now, but I think it still helps to build that rapport with or chemistry even with those people that are around you, right? And if you're off by a second or two, I think that's going to impact the whole orchestration of that offense. And you saw this, you mentioned this earlier about him being accurate. He's very accurate. You're right about that. But one thing about Tua that I think he needs to work on is when he's not playing in structure, he panics. And when he
Oh yeah.
panics, he's very inaccurate. It showed in the playoffs. It showed the last couple of weeks in the season. So if they want a consistent, offense, if they want to win that division in the AFC East, they're going to have to be, everybody has to be on firing on all cylinders. So
Who wins the
um,
AFC East?
today, I'm going to say the Jets.
Okay, I agree. Today. All right,
Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I totally agree that quarterbacks I it's weird, right? So like in any other sport, if someone misses, it's kind of like, all right, man, just come and do good. If the quarterback misses significant time, that whole unit is so off and screwed going forward because he's the brain, he's the vessel, he's the engine, he's the oil. Like if you don't have a good quarterback, I mean, ditch Mitch. Like how did that how does that oil machine go when you had ditch Mitch? It did not go well. And it's same
Nope.
thing with us. Like when Romo was hurt, we had those backups. Like I mean, I was jumping off a mountain, but it the only blessing we've had was Cooper Rush because when Dak went out, like I don't understand how he's still a backup just because like I don't care if he's mute. I don't care if he's like an ogre. If this dude's winning, he should play. This he in the last 4 or 5 years, Cooper Rush has one of the best winning percentage of anybody in the league. Granted, he doesn't play the most games, but I'm like, he's what 7-1, 8-1, and it's with the same pieces as Dak. And then Dak's over here flip flopping like win loss, win loss. And I'm like, it's the same pieces, but
I
anyway,
don't get it.
yeah, it's weird, right? Like I don't understand, but yeah, I get why you're mad because the quarter, whether you're amazing, new, or whatever, the quarterback should be the leader to not miss ever.
Yep.
Ever. All right. What is this? Number 4 next, right? Or 5?
Let's see here. I just want to real quick before we go to CeeDee Lamb here, Guy. Um, again, we don't know whether these guys have things planned, right? Maybe that took them away from practice or whatever. So that's unfair to really judge them on them missing 1 or 2 days of practice, whatever it may be. But to
Right.
your point, like for those people that they know, OTs are starting on this date. Like they need to be making plans to be there, and they need to
Right.
be the ones. They have to be there. They're the leader of the team, and if they're not, then
Quarterback the leader.
exactly, they have to be there. That's just the name of the
And my
game.
and going back to your point, they know OTAs every year are going to start the same time frame. So you
Yep.
can't tell me that like, oh, well, I didn't know. Like, no, dude, you've been playing for the NFL for how long? And you've watched it and you dreamt about being in the NFL. You know what's going on. All right, my boy, one of the best wide receivers in the game, and we might. What scares me is we might lose him because Dak attacks slacks with the contract dispute and blah blah. Like him missing kind of sucks, but like we said, the quarterback's the engine and the oil. So if Dak is okay, then he should be okay going forward because Dak's going to be the one throwing him the ball. He just has to catch. But obviously he's doing it because he's like, man, I'm chilling because I got you right where I want you. What was that? One of the last, they said a new rival for the Cowboys just hurt them because they just signed a wide receiver. I forgot who just recently signed, not Nico Collins, but like a week or two before, crazy an extension. And it's just like, see, he's gonna be like, bro, you best pay me. And what Dak's
It
like
wasn't.
so called, like,
It wasn't AJ Brown.
maybe. But on the post, I didn't get to read because I was at work, but it said new rival. Eagles have always been a rival, so I don't remember who. I don't know who we're talking about exactly. But my thing is, Dak said he's not about the money. Well, why couldn't you pay cut the entire off season as soon as you lost to Green Bay, and then contracts started happening, you should be like, yo, man, we need 88, we need 11, we need to make sure that we bring our guys back so we can run it through. And then we just let our best running back walk, and there's so many pieces that we just got rid of. And I'm like, don't tell me that you're about the team when you're jeopardizing 88 and 11 maybe not being there in our future.
Yeah. I
Uh,
honestly don't see CD Lamb going anywhere. I think he's a Cowboy for life. That's kind of what I envision there. But for Dak, like
I,
that's a dangerous game, right? If you're committing so much money to Dak Prescott and then you're not able to re-sign a CD Lamb, you're not able to re-sign a Micah Parsons or give them whatever they think they're worth, because both of them, Micah Parsons and CD Lamb, are both worth every penny, and they've shown that
right.
these last couple years.
And my going back to the whole me and you talked about on the last several episodes, like the Brock Purdy thing, right? Like if I'm dumb stupid Jerry Jones and dumb stupid Steven Jones, like I'm with my stupid face, I'm bringing 88 and 11 inside, like, and then just be like, look, guys, like honestly, we can do great things, but we may not do it with number 4 going forward. We're gonna sign you, so please just stay patient because once his contract's over, we're gonna be able to get a plethora of people to stay and pieces to come with a new younger quarterback that's cheaper, right? So that's what I'm telling them if I'm Jerry Jones.
Yeah. Now, now Micah is another story in my opinion. And I don't is he on the list? Let's see. I don't want to get ahead of myself. He probably
Well,
is on the
he's
list,
not
huh?
there, but
Okay. Well, he is. He's right here. All right. So I'll say my
yeah.
comments for Micah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So next one is who? Oh yeah, Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton.
That's big.
Yeah.
One that's big because you have a new regime, a new overhaul, new quarterback, new system. Like everything is from the ground up in Denver. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he wants a contract, right? That's probably why he's not there. But
Yeah.
one, he's worth everything because he's the only offense you've had in the last 7 years or 6 years or however long he's been there. He was your best player, hands down, on the offensive side, the last several years. So pay the guy, get him in there because he needs to hang out with Bo. He needs to get close with Bo because as a rookie, you don't want Bo to throw to his best friend every damn play because then he's just gonna get eaten alive. Um, so that one's tough for me.
This one was a surprising one for me. I didn't I didn't expect him to sit out, but I don't fault him one bit for it, just because of the way that he's kind of been the lead role when it comes to the receiver, right? The receiving room there in Denver. If you look at the time that he was drafted to where he is today, right? He was considered a very top prospect when he came out of college, out of SMU, and then the following year they go ahead and get what's the guy they just traded? Um,
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
who
yeah. They
went to
drafted him
Cleveland?
right after.
Yeah.
Dang, what's his
Uh,
name?
I have that tip of my tongue. Um. Anyways, it'll come
He
to
got
us.
he got drafted with Waddle, right?
Yeah, he did get drafted with Waddle out of Alabama as well. Um.
Oh man, yeah, because they both went back to back, and then Devontae went with them. Oh
Yeah.
man, what's his name?
It's driving me nuts. But anyways, right? That guy, Jerry Judy. Sorry, thank you, Google.
Jerry Judy.
Uh, so Jerry Judy was considered to be a better prospect than Cortland Sutton coming out, right? And so everybody was kind of focused their attention to Jerry Judy. Well, now he's not here, and throughout that time frame, Cortland Sutton was outproducing Jerry Judy. He was a better locker room guy, in my opinion, in Denver, right? He just showed more passion and more willingness to even be great on a subpar team for several years. And now it's a different mindset, right? You have Sean Payne going in year 2. It's kind of he's rebuilding that culture in Denver. So I don't know, with Cortland Sutton, I just wonder if it's like, is it truly too late to make him your number 1 or number 2, or is it a time where nothing can be like their relationship can't be repaired because of based off of what happened these last couple of years, where maybe he's not valued in his eyes, right? He's not valued by the organization. So that's very concerning for me, because I think he truly has a potential to be a really good receiver. I just don't think he's had, one, the supporting cast around him, and then two, he hasn't had the quarterback to really be able to maximize his potential. And I think
Right.
with Bo Nix, maybe that's it, but I don't know.
So you hit the nail in the coffin. So quarterback is key, right? He hasn't had consistent quarterback play the entire time. But since he's been in the league, he has quietly, like you said, he's undermined. So he's quietly one of the most consistent receivers in the NFL. You know what you're going to get out of him if you have someone to throw him the damn ball.
Yep. And now you pair him with a younger wide receiver in Troy Franklin, right?
Yes.
And I think it's only up from here, in my opinion. It's just, is he going to be willing to tough it out, right? Is he going to be willing to
Yeah.
play on the current deal that he's on, and put his not his not the it's not hope that he needs to put, but it's his confidence on the organization to really take care of him financially.
Right.
That's the question.
And about those other receivers, right? Maybe he gets traded out of nowhere in the middle of the
Yeah.
season, right? So like that would be crazy. I mean, I could see that too. Like if someone's like, "Hey, man, we're one offensive key player away to like really taking off. Let's see what Denver." Because then, since Denver's overhauling anyway, they'll take another first or second round pick next year. So like, we'll see.
Imagine him playing with Herbert in Los Angeles.
Oh, dude. Oh my god. And the same division, like, oh gosh, lights out. I would
Yeah,
pick
he
over the
he would.
Chiefs.
I honestly think he would be able to produce just as much as Mike Williams did in
Yes.
that role,
Oh yeah, it would flourish.
for sure.
But yeah, who's next?
And he caught.
Mich-
All right.
Go ahead.
Um, I was going to ask you, do you have any comments on Cortland Sutton before we move on?
Well, mine was he's quietly one of the most consistent receivers that people don't talk about, and I've loved him ever since he came. I'm like, dude, Sutton's a gem. If a quarterback and a team would just like allow him to ball.
Yeah. So we're on the same train there.
Yeah. Darius Slayton. Hey, we just talked about T's going to the Giants possibly, especially if Slayton's over here holding out. And I'm wondering why he is, right? Like, maybe, I mean, I'm sure it's probably about money too, contract. I'm like, I feel for him just because maybe they don't want him because they haven't seen enough of him. But how can they see enough of him if your quarterback is so damn lackluster and getting injured?
Yeah, exactly.
This is an unfair advantage for him against an organization because how can you like Colin Sutton is a rare gem, but tier like a slot receiver, a wide receiver too, they need help to show that they can stand out because when you have a terrible quarterback, the quarterback's going to target wide receiver one just because that's the safe key. But I'm like, how can you help him if he's been the second or third wide receiver on the team every time and you've had lackluster quarterback play?
Yeah. It's the same situation as Cortland Sutton.
Yes.
Exactly. Lackluster quarterback play. And then when it comes to his production, it's been kind of up and down just because, I mean, who's been throwing him the football, right? So Darius Slayton, I think he ends up my gut tells me he ends up going elsewhere. Either, he gets released at the end of training camp or maybe
Imagine he stays in New York, plays with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, man.
Put him with Mike Williams, the slot, and you already have 17. Wilson?
Whoo. This guy would be your Randall Cobb.
Yes.
A younger one.
Yes. Remember when Randall Cobb came? He was their fourth receiver, and dude, Aaron Rodgers threw 40 touchdowns that year because each wide receiver had like 10 each. That year, man, that he just threw the damn ball like crazy.
But I mean, like in both of these situations, right, with Darius Slayton or Cortland Sutton, like I think enough time has played out where you kind of just everybody in both sides, you cut your losses, right? You realize that the team you're playing for, you have been playing for the last couple of years, is not going to be the team that is truly valuing you and your
right.
potential, right? And so maybe it makes the most sense for both of these players to play elsewhere and kind of rejuvenate their career and improve their production.
Gabe, where do you see Sutton and Slayton with Creighton and Tatum?
Patrick Creighton was... Oh, no, I was thinking of Sam Hurd. Sam Hurd was selling cocaine. I don't know what happened to Patrick.
Patrick Creighton had a few good years, then he just faded. Like, I think he left the team with somewhere else. I think he was the Buccaneers, but he just didn't. I mean, he didn't have Romo, so he did not even get near the touchdowns and significance he ever had.
This conversation about Creightons and Miles Austins and all Sam Hurts, like we should have an episode of all of the forgotten wide receivers, right? The second tier wide receivers.
Wide receivers that should be mentioned but never got the TJ Who's Your Mama, that's for sure. But yeah, yep. I was thinking about that today. Like we should do like it'll be the same day, I guess, same podcast. We could do top. You and I will pick 3 teams each that have great wide receiver cores, and then say why they're so good. They're going to be so good this year, and then then we'll talk about forgotten wide receivers next week at the same time. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be so cool to see what you come up with.
Yeah, he says Sutton to Chargers, right? Damn, that would be crazy. Slayton to the Commanders. Damn, both of them are going to the division. I wouldn't mind that because they would have so much field to hurt their old team.
Yeah.
Ooh, Brandon Ayuk gonna go to the Dallas Cowboys. Where's Dave? David Martin, everybody. Someone call him right now. Tell him Brandon Ayuk's gonna be a Dallas Cowboy.
I would give up capital, especially like for those playoff teams that have usually high draft selections, right? Like in the high first round. Why not give up a first round pick or a second round pick for an
Right.
Ayuk, right? To get that potential.
Oh, they would probably even take a second round pick at this point, just because they don't know what he's gonna come. They know he's distraught. And then, like, going back to, like I was saying about Dallas, maybe four's not there next year. Imagine Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Tolbert, and then you get a young quarterback in the first round. Like, oof. It'd be basically like Brock Purdy going to them, like, because they had Ayuk, Debo Samuels, George Kittle. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be the same lineup or same concept, and you just grow with them.
Yeah.
Cowboys need a quarterback. You're telling me. Cowboys need a new owner.
First, they need a quarterback first before
Well,
they can get
well,
anything else.
if we wait for a quarterback before we get Brandon Ayuk, he won't be there.
But yeah,
We have to
with
get him
Brandon
now.
Ayuk,
But yeah,
I think he's done with San Francisco. I don't. The only reason why I mean, we've seen this before, right? This happens every single year in the NFL, so we know that players are disgruntled. They want money. Their team's not budging, and then it seems like it's all set in stone that they're leaving elsewhere. And then right before training camp starts, bam, they get a new contract. Right. In this case, I think the 49ers have so many things going against them. Right. They have, of course, they're gonna have to pay Purdy pretty soon. Right. He's going into year 3 now, so
it's gonna
eventually
be
they're
a
gonna have
pretty
to pay
penny.
him. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Pretty penny. So
Pretty penny.
it ain't gonna be cheap for sure. And then if you think about it, are you gonna really spend that much money on Purdy, or are you gonna, when that time comes, are you gonna be looking for another quarterback that maybe has more skill level than Purdy, or not? Maybe I don't know. I don't know what that means, because it seems like when it comes to Kyle Shanahan, you just never know. He seemed like what's his name? Trey Lance was his guy. And then he seemed like Jimmy Garoppolo was
Yes.
his guy. And then he just turned
Yep.
all his focus and attention to a rookie. So you just don't know who's the flavor of the year, right? When it comes to the quarterback position. So are you really going to lose out on Brandon Ayuk, or are you going to pay him what he's worth? Or are you going
You
to
just
let him walk, or are you going to pay Debo Samuel?
you basically just talked about most of my exes. Like, I was one of their flavors of the months, and then they lost me out. Like 31 flavors of them. But yeah,
Baskin Robbins over
I
here.
agree with you. Yeah, so I can you can't pay Debo and Brandon the same. Like, we're talking about the Bengals, right? Like, they're gonna pay Jamar Chase first before they pay T Higgins. Like, that's just how it's gonna be. And it looks like
Yeah.
they're leaning towards paying Debo before they pay Brandon. So yeah, I agree. Like, I think Brandon's gonna be out within the year, or for sure 2025. Yeah, like I said, like, he could be on the trade block too. Like, we hit the nail on the coffin, a few of them, with Stephon Diggs and a few people are getting traded. Remember, we talked about it early, and then sure enough, things started to flop. So yeah, I think Ayuk is pretty much he's going to Buffalo. Oh man, that would be wild. I
Buffalo.
I I could kind of see that also.
Yeah.
Him and Keon Coleman, and then Kincaid, and then
Curtis Samuel.
Allen, Win Wade, Kool Aid. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Now you're just making up
But
names.
well, there's a Kool Aid. He just didn't go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
They're just making sounds and nouns. But well, I mean, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, he's got a cool name, Ayuk. Like, he's from Street Fighter. Isn't that
Yeah.
Ryu and Kansas? Ayuk.
Yeah. Something
But
like that.
Ayuk. But Buffalo has a lot of draft picks. Yeah, they do. All right, who's next? But I agree with you. Don't really need to spend too much time on him. Brandon's out. He's not gonna be in San Fran any much longer. But you know what's weird? Seeing this like gold and stuff right here, I can see him as a Steeler. George
Steeler, huh?
Pickens, the new rookie, and then you get two quarterbacks. Why not? This is your make it and breaking year. This is why you went all in to get two quarterbacks to begin with. You might as well solidify the receiving slot or spot with three good receivers.
See, I think the Steelers shot themselves in the foot. And the reason why I say that is because the Steelers have both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And if either one of them produce, they're going to want their payday. Justin Fields is already going on a second contract. He's going to want a payday. Or if
Steelers
Russell
don't pay.
Wilson,
Gabe
yeah,
says Steelers
exactly.
don't pay.
They don't pay. And I don't,
Well, how?
maybe,
Why would they pay? Their name is Steelers.
man, you're on a roll today with those
I
dad
know.
jokes, huh?
I mean, they're not gonna give. They're Steelers.
But yeah, no, I don't see, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the Steelers being one of those places for him to kind of land on just because they haven't solidified that quarterback position. And if they do, they'd have to pay that quarterback a pretty good amount of money. All right, Justin.
Yeah. So I mean,
Let's go.
I'm I'm excited. I'm excited to see where Brandon goes though. As long as he doesn't beat us. Micah
Yeah.
Parsons, woo, my boy. Please God, just stay. Like that's all I care about. Please God, just stay.
Who would you
Like
rather
yeah,
have,
uh,
Micah or CD?
uh, Micah.
Yeah.
It hurts me to say, but Micah, we've had plenty of amazing 88s, but to have someone that changes the outline of a game every game and gets held on every play, but they never call it half the time. Eventually, then the NFL is going to get noticed. Like I remember towards the end of the year, that's why they kind of called it on like week 17, week 18, and even in the playoffs. Dallas was threatening to sue the NFL for not letting Micah get his what he was due because he was getting held half the damn year, and they'd only call it half the time because one, it slows down the game, right? Because if this dude's getting held every damn time, it's gonna just slow the game. So they're like, dude, how are we supposed to do this? So they would call it like every 1/3 play. And but I mean, you could see if you go back to some of his highlights, he's getting tackled, and they're just like, oh, look at the time, So I rather have him as much as it hurts. Like we can go get another decent receiver, especially if we have a better quarterback. But a number 11 that changes the whole game, like when you're referred to the next Lawrence Taylor, that is a rare air. Demarcus Lawrence, T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt, Urlacher, like none of these guys that we've all loved, me, you, Gabe, all these NFL fans for the last 20, 30 years, there's only been one person that they've said that's close to Lawrence, and that's him. So I'd rather keep him because that's a rare air, and he changes the whole game. So as much as it hurts, yeah, I'd rather have Micah.
So is this? I read that this him holding out of the OTAs is not having to do with any money. Is that true?
Yeah, so he did this last year too, honestly. Like I don't think he like held out this long on OTAs, but like he he's a freak. Like he's training. Okay, so last year he trained in boxing, right? He wanted to like get the jabs to like move defenders. You know who he's been I guess I don't know how grappling with. He's been training with
Sumos.
sumo wrestlers. Yes. So I'm like, damn, if he could move a damn sumo out the circle, can you imagine him charging at a defense alignment that's just sitting there? This dude, I think this is what his year 4, right? I think it is. Is
Yeah,
this his
he was
fourth year?
he was drafted in 2019, right?
Yeah, barring no injuries and like
Sorry, 21.
no freakish things that happen to our defense technically where they have to switch him so much. I think this is going to be his best year. And look at what he's done the last 2 years. I think this year he can just take another step, and it's going to be stupid scary, especially if Eric Kendricks and the linebackers can hold their own, so he doesn't have to play linebacker and he can just attack the quarterback. Like I think it's going to be really really dangerous for a lot of people, especially for stationary quarterbacks. Like they're plucked for sure.
Yeah. I think you're right on point with Micah. I think man, I would have never predicted him coming out of Penn State and being drafted when he did. I think a lot of other teams would have loved the production that this guy's been
Yes.
giving you guys, right? But that dude, I mean, he seems small to me as a defensive end, and he generates so much pressure. He has that speed.
Yes.
He's just he wreaks havoc on the game plans for all the offensive, linemen that he deals with. But with Mike, I don't see money being an issue here. I think he's going to get paid what he deserves, every single penny. The only the only concern I have with Micah is, and again, this is coming from not a Cowboys fan, right? Is the fact that he's very he's not soft spoken. He'll say what he truly means, right? What he thinks, and so does it get to a point where maybe he's not satisfied with Dallas, if not satisfied with let's say that they do move on from the quarterback position and they're kind of rebuilding for maybe a season or two, is he going to be okay with that process, right? Because again, he's only focused on producing. And so if it's really going to prevent him from winning a championship, is he going to be quiet in those kind of situations, or is he going to be on board with those types of things? That's the only thing that has me concerned and questioning that. But I think when it comes to salary and what, getting what he deserves every single penny.
Right. I agree with the penny part. I happily agree what you said. Like, yes, he's very outspoken and he's very like he knows what he wants and he wants it, right? So
Yep.
I think this is what we've needed for 30 years. I love number 9. You, Gabe, the whole world knows how much I love number 9. But he was a good, genuine dude that wouldn't speak and hit people. Number 4, good, genuine, supposedly dude, same as 9, won't speak up and won't punch people. Troy Aikman would punch people. And this is like figuratively speaking, right? Like verbally, mentally, call your shit out. I don't care if you're number 88. I don't care if you're number 22. I don't care if you're 94 on the defense. If you don't show up, I'm going to punch you in the damn jaw. We've needed this. DeMarcus Ware, who is the leading sacker of the Cowboys all time now, he was soft-spoken. He was quiet. He just showed up and played. We need the show up and play people, but we need someone to say, get your dick right, or else I'm going to get it for you.
I think that's what Brandon McManus said too.
Pretty much. Well, that's what he says to himself. But I'm okay with this because it calls out Jerry, it calls out Steven, it calls out Dak, it calls out everybody. Like, would we have an issue with this if it was number 4 instead of 11 right now?
No, but you know how Jerry Jones works, right? Jerry Jones gets tired of hearing so much criticism, and if this guy's outspoken like the way he is, and he's, Micah goes on a lot of different podcasts, he's on social media, so when he talks, his things go, they go viral. And so I'm just wondering, like, if it comes to a time where you guys are struggling internally and he's voicing his concerns, what does that do for the relationship between him and Jerry Jones?
I just hope, well, Jerry Jones has done well with his bucket. So hopefully at that time, he'll just kick the bucket.
Oh, man.
We've needed someone like him forever. Like, what is the one thing that I told y'all number 9 should have done the whole time? Punch his own players and get them in order. Because he had the talent, he had the gifts, he had the accuracy, the touchdowns, but his defense was his coaching, but he was nice. What happened when Tom Brady had a sloppy day and his defense was worse and like what happened? He was in their face and he was like, "You dumb sons of."
Let me ask you this though. What happened when Jimmy Johnson started voicing his opinion and his concerns, right? What did Jerry Jones do with him?
Because Jerry Jones did this. He hit his little wee wee and got rid of the person that actually was the reason why we were winning so much. It was his ego for sure back then. This time, honestly, as much as Micah reeks people on the field, like I honestly think they would just be afraid of him. Like I think they would just be like, okay, Micah, okay, and then just kind of like send him off like bantering, right? So I don't know. We've needed him for a long time. Like all of our great players the last 25 years, they were still quiet and just not like you're America's team. You're supposed to be outspoken. You're supposed to be cocky. You're supposed to have swag. You're supposed to be arrogant. You're supposed to be angry. Like you're supposed to punch people in the damn jaw if they just look at the star awkwardly. Like you know what I mean? Like that was the 90s. That was the 70s group. Like they're like, dude, we're the motherfucking Dallas Cowboys. We're America's team. We're gonna punch you in the jaw 12 times before you can get hit us once. And then we went through that. Well, till now, basically, till Micah, all those players that were just like, like, man, we're America's team. Like, we got to just win. Like, look in the damn mirror. Look at the people around you. Call them out. They're like each team in any sport, their objective is to beat the crap out of you and make you cry. And if you're not doing that to the other team, you got to look within and be like, what are we doing wrong? Because it's our fault that they're beating us. And that's what Micah does. It's like, hey man, like if like he called out the offense, not last season because that was the Green Bay game, but 2 seasons, like, hey man, the last 2 years the defense did their job. The offense needs to step up. Last year, the coaching is what let us down. Like what we played in the defensive side, like it was just atrocious on the playoff game. Like I blame everybody, especially Dan Quinn and Dak. But the previous 2 years with the 49ers, what did he say, bro? The defense showed up. It was the offense that didn't show up. And he's right.
Yeah, he was right.
I mean, like that. What the first time we played the Niners in San Francisco, what they won 9-3 or something, like some stupid score, 10-3 or something. And I'm like, we were driving 2 to 3 times, and then there was a fumble, Dak pick. Like if we just kick field goals, we win the game. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I'd rather keep Micah over 4 and 88 just because of who he is and how he is.
I was playing devil's advocate there, so I know I struck a nerve there with all all the cursing there. That's all
Stupid
right.
Jared Jones.
But no, go ahead.
No, you go. I'm
I was
I gotta take a breather.
I was gonna say that again. I mentioned this earlier. I don't think CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, they go anywhere. I think it's most likely that Dak goes elsewhere before any of these two players do, because
Agreed.
you have to pay the players that you drafted and are producing for you, right? I mean, that's a home run. That's a home run draft pick. You can't let those players walk through your doors, right? Um, and I think with Micah, that's the only concern I have is just his outspoken approach to everything. And maybe it
Um,
wears thin with the front office. Maybe it wears thin with the players that he plays with. I don't know, but that's
wh-
that's the only
what I love
concern.
about Micah is that, I mean, what are we? We're millennial, right? He's You could say he's an old soul or got an old school mindset. He's even a millennial mindset because Gen Z is soft as hell, and
Yep.
all these players, they're a lot of these young players are Gen Z, so they're gonna cry and like like. But this dude, he's got a millennial mindset. Like, dude, I don't give a bleep. Like, just get it done, and I love that.
Yeah. This is a good picture, by the way.
Yeah, look at that Gen Z getting sacked right there. I love it. Poor Wilson. He's not even with the team anymore.
Tristan Wirfs.
Woo! He knows what he's worth.
I knew that was coming. Oh man,
Uh,
you
but
and
yeah,
your
he's
puns.
he's one of the best offensive linemen. So they need to make, if it's about money, pay the guy, or else someone else will, and then you're going to be hurting because Baker's not the tallest quarterback. He's not the
No.
heaviest quarterback. You need to make sure you keep him upright, or you're going to ruin your season. And you're technically the number one or number two team supposedly in your division right now. So if you don't get him back and your offensive line crashes, you're going to fail your own season because of your ignorance.
Yep. And look at this picture here. This picture is telling. He was drafted when Tom Brady was still there. I think it was back in 2021. I want to say. I think it was the same draft class as um, Micah Parsons. Anyways, he was drafted to play left tackle, but he started his career playing right tackle, and he actually produced on both sides. So you have a potential foundational offensive play, like offensive lineman, asking for more money when he plays both positions in the league. And
Right.
it's so difficult to find that foundation left tackle in any draft. So
Right.
why are you contemplating paying this man, especially if you have no quarterback, especially if you have a bridge quarterback, right? Yes, you re-sign Baker Mayfield, but he didn't get top of the, top of the class money, right?
Right.
It's pretty expensive, but not that bad. So why are you even contemplating paying this guy? You need to be paying this guy and making sure that he's there and still growing with your team as you get the next quarterback in place or whoever you plan to have
Right.
behind center.
I completely agree. It's, yeah, if this is about dollars on this, which probably is, like, just why would you like even like uh he's so good.
Yeah.
Gee.
So apparently, based
Contract,
off of this article, it's
yeah,
contract
contract.
related. So
Yep, his money. So I mean, he deserves it. It could be the
yeah,
richest deal in Austin Lyman ever. Exactly. And well, he deserves, and this is what cap room going higher, dollar, like, money's higher. So pay the man. Just pay Baker and Evans. So why would you not fight your offense and make sure he's gonna be upright?
yeah. As it is, Mike Evans is reaching probably the end. This is probably going to be his last contract with the Bucks.
Right.
So you need to prepare for the future. You need to
Yeah.
prepare for life without Mike Evans.
Exactly.
Perhaps even, Chris Godwin. You don't know if he's going to still be with you, but like you just need to plan for the future because this position here in left tackle, even right tackle, that's the hardest position to really address in both the draft and free agency. Free agency won't happen. It's rare that you find the left tackle that is this caliber of player. And so when we're talking about draft, that's also up in the air as well.
You can't.
Look at yeah. You were gonna say it's not easy to do. And Alex Leatherwood from Alabama, I don't know if you remember that name. First round talent, they didn't do shit in the
Where'd
NFL.
he?
Now he just got re-signed today. He ended up going to the Chargers, I believe.
Well, where did he get drafted by?
The Raiders.
He didn't do anything.
No, he struggled. He of course started because he was a first round talent. I think he was even top 5. But he started in the league. He sucked at his position. They moved him to guard. He still sucked in that guard position. The Bears took a chance on him by trading for him.
Oh,
He
you
didn't do
got him.
nothing. Yeah, we got him about 2 years ago. Didn't do nothing. And then now, I mean, I don't even think he played all of last year. And so now he's with the Chargers. So maybe, Jim Harbaugh can do his magic there and revitalize his career. But yeah, I mean,
Maybe he'll
that's
be
the
a
toughest
backup.
position. Maybe. Maybe. But even as a backup, that's what he was with us. And he couldn't crack it. So I know
Woo.
from experience, and I'm talking as a fan that didn't have any good offensive linemen on their team for a
Yeah,
while. This is something you need to you need to solidify whenever you
address.
can. Yep,
Yeah, and like, there's no guarantee in the draft, right? Like, it's
not
just
at all.
Brian Bosworth. I mean, there's so
Exactly.
many. What is it? The Raider guy, Jamarcus Russell, or whatever his name was.
Yep, Jamarcus
My,
Russell.
the biggest waste of 100 million ever. Eddie Pinheiro, hey, he looks familiar, didn't he? And it's
He was
so
our
funny
kicker.
that, and it's so funny is the picture with the Bears. Woo.
They still lost this game, by the way.
The Panthers.
Hmm. It was a low scoring game, but they still lost. So take that, Panero.
Pinero's looking for his dinero.
Exactly. That's a good sign.
But that's weird that he's holding out. What does it
I
say
know.
down there? I mean, why
I,
did kicker
I,
hold out?
he also missed a career worst 15% of his extra points. So yeah, it's
Wow.
contract related. He doesn't deserve it. Get this guy off the list.
I remember, what was the game that, like, oh man, I remember you and I were texting and whatever, and I was like, oh man, you're like, man, if the Bears win, like, and then he's just like, oh, it just goes like wide right. Oh man, I forgot what game was it, against the Eagles. I don't know. It was like it was an impactful game that was going to dictate your pretty much your season. It was just like boop, and you're like, of course we would lose like that. Oh man, but
Yeah.
yeah, how did he get another job? Like, I don't think he was that good.
He's been jumping around from team to team, and I don't think I don't think he's kicked good enough to warrant another contract with the Panthers. But hey, I don't know. But yeah, this is an odd one to see on the list.
Yeah. Oh man.
But I
Yeah.
believe this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. But I wanted to say real quick. I don't know if you heard about this yesterday. I think it came out. So the NFL Players Association is looking to vote on removing the OTAs altogether, getting
Right.
rid of it. And so what they're looking to do is, of course, partner up with the NFL owners to see if they can get rid of OTAs and extend training camp earlier, right? A couple weeks. So basically, what would happen is if this was agreed to, all of the NFL OTAs that wouldn't exist anymore, and all of the players would come together during mini camp and training camp, and so that's what they would. That's the practices that they would be having. My only question to that is, what does it mean for like the rookies, right? Because I know the rookies have mini camp, like maybe a few weeks after they're drafted. So does that mean that they don't even have rookie mini camp? That is just strictly um, gonna be now mini camp, training camp, or whatever they decide to do?
Right.
Because if that's the case, how does that work? Because the rookies for rookie minicamp, that's all they do, right? The teams, of course, have their draft picks there, and then they seem to also have their undrafted free agents attend those workouts, and then they also, it's kind of like walk-ons, right? They have their those college free agents that are kind of hired to come in and see what they can produce, and if they like them, they'll sign them to a training, like a, well, it's like the active, not the active roster, but it's like the practice squad or whatever you want to call it, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays into that if this is voted on. But I thought it would be fitting to say and to mention that right now, just because this could be the last conversation that you and I have about players missing from
OTAs.
OTAs.
And you know what? It's crazy too. Is that, like, one, if that happens, then if someone's missing from minicamp, then we know it's about contract and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? So it's severe. And two, I also read that that Goodell is contemplating, like, he wants to just to play 18 games and only have one preseason game. And I was like, oh wow, like, that's pretty intense. I'm like, man, the rookies, it's so fast. Like, I mean, that it's fast for a rookie. So I don't know, man. One thing, if they want, man, I wish I was a part of that damn community. So I'm like, hey, can we get rid of the stupid ties? Because this is the stupidest fucking rule ever.
Yeah, I agree
We
with you there. I
we
think that's
talk we
so.
t- we talked about it last that one episode. Like, just make the kickers kick after if we don't win in 10 minutes or whatever, and then whoever misses first, we lose the game.
Kicker showdown. Have Brandon McManus.
Yeah, yeah, and Panero. I want to see Eddie Panero in that one. Like, I want my money. Way right, but yeah, man, that's so weird. So the NFL tries to change, tries to evolve and tries to get things better. But I'm like, sometimes, sometimes things don't need to be changed either, right? So it's just like, why are we trying to change so much when they just need to tweak a few things and then it'd be fine. But it is what it is, and then that's why the Goodell or Commissioner is Goodell, because he's been doing this supposedly so well for a long time that people keep signing, like the NFL keeps signing him or keeps him. But yeah,
I mean,
man,
he gets it though. If you think about it, like remember, try to remember you like as a fan in 2008 or 2010, like
2008.
so. Like think about it. Back then, how did we even get our news? Right, it was either going through NFL.com or maybe even Facebook back then. I don't even remember, but I know that a lot of the way that I kind of digested my information or anything related to the NFL was just going online and searching for it, right? They didn't have Twitter and they didn't have training camp footage. They didn't have highlights. So things have really evolved nowadays that if you want to see what's going on in OTAs, I'm sure you can go on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it.
Right.
Search up Cowboys highlights or OTAs and something's going to come up. Like that's the beauty of being an NFL fan right now is that you're able to get that content on demand as you want it. So it's kind of like a slippery slope when we're talking about 18 game season, right? Because you're putting players' health at risk by making them play more games. And then secondly, it's kind of like, okay, you're getting rid of potentially 2 games or 1 game in the preseason. How is that going to impact the game on the field the week 1, right? Is everybody going to be sloppy because they didn't have those extra games? So it's just a lot of things to take into account that I don't know how it's going to work, but more football, I think in Goodell's mind, more football means more money, more revenue, more. So I don't know if it's the right approach or not.
That's all it is. And then pretty soon the cap is going to be probably like 200 million soon. I say within a few years.
Definitely.
Can you imagine? Jesus. I can't wait to see the
Eagles.
Yeah, I know, right? Just we'll sign everybody. Come on in.
Come here, Patrick.
Yeah, Mahomes. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy, but man, it's we always wish for it to come sooner, right? And then when it does, it leaves quicker, and it's just like no, stop, no. But man, football season is almost upon us, and then like we talked about earlier, like I think we should pick like 3 teams, like we talked about, 3 receiver cores, each one of us, and then we'll of course we'll talk about it through the week, and then so we can not copy each other, and then we'll plan it on here, and then we'll talk about like receivers that we used to like that a lot of people like Gen Z don't know about, so underrated. There's a lot of underrated receivers and running backs. Oh man, there's so many.
There is, and it's funny because this all started because we were saying Hushmanzada and Crayon and all this stuff. So it makes you forget about all those forgotten players that were once like key foundational pieces for your team.
Yeah, fun to watch. Like, oh man, who's the poor kid that passed away? I mean, he was a grown man at the time, older than us, but Chris Henry, right? He's the one who got killed.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I'm sure a lot of kids don't know who he is. And man, Chad Ochocinco and TJ Hushmanzada was one of the best core receivers in the league at that time. And what sucks is that they sort of had inconsistent quarterback play at that time too. So like no one saw their full potential.
But why? Because of injuries, right? So again, it goes back to your point.
Carson Palmer.
Yeah, it goes back to your point where Joe Burrow, can he stay healthy? And if he can, and this is what what's the potential of the Bengals, right? Potential playoffs, maybe Super Bowl run, who knows? And then if you don't have Joe Burrow, bottom of the division,
Yeah,
bottom of the
yeah,
AFC. You
yeah.
just
We'll
don't know.
see. Man, it's so great, man. Yeah, this league is gonna, or this year is gonna be so intense, man. I wish Uncle G was still here because man, he would get to see the new Commanders with Dan Quinn and stuff. But I like Pittsburgh's so new, Washington's so new, the Bears are so new. You know what I mean? There's so many teams that are just like Denver, like everything's just like an explosion, and just so many different players and perspectives and coaches and teams, and like this year is gonna be intense to watch.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype for sure. I know when I went to the airport last week when I got to Phoenix, the rental guy saw my hoodie and I was wearing a Bears hoodie, and he's like, "Oh man, are you excited?" And I'm like, "I'm excited. This is like the most excited that I've been for a Bears season." And he's like, "Are you already a believer in Caleb?" I'm like, "No, not yet." Not to say that I don't think he can be that, right? But I've gone through this so much that I have to see it to believe. And I've told you this the last
I
couple episodes. I need to see him be that quarterback that we're hoping for, and that he takes us over the top, playoff contention, beating the Packers. Like that's what we want. That's what we need. So I told him that, and he's like, "I get it. I get it. You guys have gone through so many quarterbacks." But then after that, he was like, "It's gonna be so fun because it's the Bears up and coming. You have the Texans." He mentioned the Texans, so I think just a lot of NFL fans in general are just excited to see those new teams kind of emerging from the
Yes,
bottom of the league.
from the dust. So, do you know who his team was or what?
He was a Cardinals fan.
Okay. Well, hopefully he's excited. Hopefully he thinks that Murray will take a turn for the best because this is his probably make it or break it year. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
you got Marvin Harrison, you got a decent offense. Like, there's no excuse at this point. But yeah, it's an exciting time, and yeah, the Bears, the Texans, the AFC what South. Like, I'm excited to see that whole division, like the
yeah,
Jaguars, the Titans, the Texans. Like that's gonna be fun because they're those teams. There, remember, it used to be just Andrew Luck and the freaking Colts and Peyton Manning and the Colts. You know, those teams were just nothing. And then now they're all three are better than the Colts. So it's just like it's exciting to see
that was the most boring division to watch back in the day, right? I'm talking
them and
about
the AFC
2012.
East.
Yeah, that too. AFCs because you knew who was gonna win, right? You
Yeah,
knew who was gonna be
stupid
taking those playoff seats.
Belichick and Brady. Yeah. Yeah, the
So
NFC. That's why I always love the NFC. Even take the Cowboys out of like my fanfare, but NFC is always like so competitive that you don't know who's gonna 1, 2, 4 seed because every time it changed. And then AFC was either Peyton Manning or damn Tom Brady. You know, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. And yeah, Atlanta. Gabe's right. Like Gabe, I can't wait to see how the Falcons stroll. Like I've always liked the Falcons colors, the uniforms, the like I've always been cool with them. And then now you get Kirk Cousins, finally a quarterback that can throw and not run for nothing.
Gabe has some good comments today, man. You need to join the show. We'll
And
get you a
yeah,
camera.
yeah, we need to get him going. And people can call us triplets. But yeah, we need to get him to we need to get a few guest stars. That'd be fun.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say before we wrap up the show, just wanted to thank a lot of our friends and families that have tuned in. We've been getting some pretty good engagement online, especially on Facebook from, Eddie Palmer. We both know Eddie Palmer, right? The Bengals fan.
Eddie Palmer,
So
Panero.
it's cool to see that, we're getting some engagement there and we're getting some followage there. I found out, and I'm asking all of you that tune in on Facebook for support. I found out that we might not be able to live stream on Facebook anymore because
Why?
Facebook wanted to create a new rule that specific pages that are on Facebook that go and use that live feature have to have more than 100 followers to do it. And so the thing is, right now we're at 20, getting to 20 followers on Facebook. So we would need to grow drastically in a matter of 2 weeks span in order for us to continue uh,
What, bro?
live streaming. I know it's a big. So hopefully, if you guys or if anyone's watching right now or anyone tunes in later, please, if you can share this page, this video with any of your friends or families. That way, we just get some more followers, and hopefully, it won't affect us. But Yeah, I just found that out yesterday, as a matter of fact. So I'm kind of bummed out about that.
Stupid government.
Some stupid Mark Zuckerberg. That's who that is.
Well, I mean, didn't he sell it or whatever? I don't know.
Mm.
It's just crap because like all we have if you want more people, pay this, pay that, pay that. I'm like, dude, we're trying to grow so we can do something big, not keep paying you all.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's frustrating. It's a lot of work, and we both have jobs, so it's tough to kind of navigate through all that. But we're doing the best that we can. But I know I've been getting a lot of comments from friends and families asking me about the podcast. So I'm super thankful for all of the engagement, all of the support that we've been getting the last couple of weeks. So thank you,
right.
everyone.
Yeah. Please like, love, share. I mean, send a who's your mama. I don't care. Just anybody that'll just, and even if they don't even watch sports, just tell them, hey man, we got some friends and family that are trying to get this thing rolling. If you could just like this page, and yeah, we much appreciate it. And then we're definitely trying to do big things. Like our main goal is so we can do things live together and possibly be at the draft, and then make it an epic episode for you guys, just so you can be like, I mean, from Gladiator, are you not entertained? Like, we want to make sure that you get a full onslaught of your time while you watch us. So, yeah, please, let's just keep growing and hopefully grow for the best.
Thanks, Gabe, for sharing the video today.
You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy.
But it was fun as always, Jay.
Yes. Yeah. So the wide receiver thing, and then I'm sure NFL News will have something too next week. By the time we get to our episode, are we meeting up tomorrow, Danny, or are you gonna be sick again, or what's happening?
I have to come up with an excuse. I don't know.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll meet up. I'll text you.
Yeah. All right. I was just making sure because I don't want to make plans, so make
Sounds
sure
good.
I plan with you. But yeah, man, it'll be fun. Gabe, again, thanks. You're the main guy today. David and a few others must be doing other things because they didn't chime in. But hopefully, we'll get more people next time to chime in. Gabe, always, thank you so much. Last time we had Beto, that was fun. Beto was chiming in. Go
Yeah.
Texans, even though I don't know what's happening. Woo!
Who's your quarterback?
Yeah, at the draft, he was just like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah."
Don't knows his stuff now.
Yeah.
All right.
Do they have a?
Well,
Do they have
go ahead.
a midget football league? I'm pretty sure Beto would be the the chairman of that. Like,
Yeah, he would know what's up.
Gabe. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure, Danny Ramirez, like always. This is the Sun City Leatherheads podcast coming to you from El Paso, Texas, 100% right now, but it's going to change 50-50 soon. Selfish Sam. But anyway, y'all have a great day. Love you, Sam. But y'all have a great day. Danny, always, we'll see you soon, my friend.
Talk to everyone
My brother.
soon.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Gabe.